Every story, every voice, every fact under the spotlight. Because Nigerians don't need noise, they need clarity. So if you're tired of spin and ready for sense, welcome.
I'm Maryann Okon, and this is Hard Facts.
Nigeria Info 99.3. Let's talk.
Left out of the conversation.
It's great conversation all day on 99.3.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. Take charge of what you hear. We know the value of information.
Nigeria Info is information.
Join the conversation round the clock.
Only on 99.3
Nigeria Info.
Let's talk.
Six minutes gone past the 5 o'clock hour on the home stretch of Hard Facts today. On the big Hard Facts today, we're going to be talking about the delay for the 2027. In fact, the delay of the passage of the Electoral Act that's going to aid in the 2027 elections. Now, there are very many civil rights and, of course, election civil society organizations that supports free, fair and credible elections who have continuously wondered if this new bill will be able to make it into what we will use to conduct the 2027 elections, being that this February is when INEC is supposed to put out its calendar for all of the elections that will roll out this year, whether it's the off-cycle ones, even into 2027. Well, my guest, before I introduce him, let me give you a little bit more background, and of course it will help us in this conversation. Now, as the country inches closer to 2027, one critical question hangs in the air: are we legally prepared to vote? The Electoral Act Amendment Bill, meant to fix the gaps in the 2023 elections, just as I said, from vote buying and result transmission to timelines and enforcement, has been passed by the House of Representatives, but is still stalled in the Senate. Civil society groups, election observers, political parties are warning that this delay is not neutral. They say it creates uncertainty for INEC, confusion for political parties, and risk repeating the same structural failures Nigerians complain about in the last election cycle. So today on the Big Hard Fact, we're asking, is the delay procedural, political, or deliberate? And what exactly is at stake if this law is not passed in time? Who benefits from keeping Nigeria's electoral framework in limbo? Well, joining me is Paul James. He is an election democracy expert. So he's an election expert, first. And then he's, of course, an advocate for democracy. Paul, it's so good to have you join us. This is my first time seeing you this year, so Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Maryann. Thank you for the opportunity. It's good to see your face again.
I know that you and I are 5 and 6 when it comes to election season. We will talk and talk and talk. But it's so good to have you join us. Now, let's start from the basics.
Thank you.
What is the Electoral Act Amendment Bill trying to change or fix for this current election cycle that's about to come into stream?
Thank you, Maryann. So the bill is a landmark provision that is supposed to address ambiguities that are observed from the previous Electoral Act, as it were. Recall in 2022, the late President Muhammadu Buhari signed an electoral law, and then that was used for the administration of the 2023 election and subsequent other elections that followed. And so, as it is with every election, after the election, you sit back and look what are the loopholes and how do we fix these loopholes. So there were a lot of ambiguity that were observed. If you recall, one of which was prominent was about the transmission of results. After the elections, Nigeria were expecting, because INEC raised their hope that it was going to transmit results. And they came up later to say, no, we didn't say we were transmitting, we said we were going to upload results. Now, these are some kind of legal jargons that was very clear to Nigerians. And also, if you recall, there were issues, for instance, like there was a provision that said INEC should review elections that are conducted under questionable circumstances. But that is within 7 days. But we keep seeing INEC keep going back, conducting election without necessarily taking time to pause, reflect, even when people call for review of those elections. So it was meant that this new electoral law was going to address all of those encumbrances. For INEC, in some places, to say the law was not very explicitly clear about what it should do. We had challenges also in the past, things around even vote buying around our elections. So people felt maybe the penalties for this is so small, that is why people are abusing it. The penalty for vote buying in the past was $500,000, 500,000 naira. So people were saying maybe if we up this a bit, it could help to check some of these concerns. So this new law, as it were, had tried to address some of these concerns, and that if these are implemented, could raise the bar in our elections. For instance, one of the prominent provision of the new law is around the transmission of results. That the commission is now mandated to transmit results electronically after the election, and then also keep paper trail of the transmitted results. Another provision is that the commission should compare the paper trail of the transmitted results against, should compare the transmitted result against the paper trail that the commission has. Now, what will this do? All of this, I won, I did not win, I won, I did not win. This will help to checkmate that, because party agents will now have the hard copy of the election results and can compare with what was transmitted. The last time there were complaints, oh, what we saw transmitted or uploaded was different from what we saw at the polling unit. Again, because the commission would argue that it doesn't have that legal backing to check against whatever was there, that at that moment stood, because according to the commission, all the while it was planning or working towards or preparing towards when officially Nigeria would now mainstream electronic transmission in our electoral law. So those are some of those the provisions that we're talking about. Now, if you also talk about participation in the process, one of the things that has become also challenging in the past is around the use of voters card in our elections. There's so much so that sometimes even the way and manner in which the voters card are distributed, it gets to disenfranchise some people. They are distributed sometimes close to the election. They are distributed at the INEC offices. And so people that don't have the resources to go to the INEC offices get to be excluded technically. Sometimes people even go to these INEC offices and may not meet the commission staff. One of the key provisions of this new law is that the commission will be able to provide downloadable voter card for inclusion purpose. That is, the commission can download, that could be a provision to download the soft copy of the voter's card that the voter can use at the polling unit to be able to vote. In that instance, even if a voter forgets their voter's card, they will be able to vote. Or even if the commission had not printed the hard copy voter card prior to the election, on the day of the election, voter will be able to vote. If you talk about also political party and political participation, the new law is also saying that the parties will now be mandated to have digital register of their voters. As it is, if you ask any political party about every party will be claiming they are doing voter registration. One of the provisions before election is that they must submit the list of their registered voters. They must also submit their audited account to INEC, but that never gets to happen. INEC is supposed to be checking this and also be providing this information to Nigeria, but you don't get that. So what the new law is saying is that every party must have name and address of their registered voters electronically, must have the picture, every detail that you can imagine of their registered voters. What does this do? That at the end of the election, things around all the manipulation that happen around internal party democracy, this will help to checkmate it. Now, why is it concerning, and why are we talking about the delays by the Senate? Because as we know, 2 houses of the Assembly, one had passed in December. The Senate is yet to pass its own. Now, beyond the Senate passing its own bill, the Senate and the House must come together to do what is called harmonization before it gets the President for assent. Harmonization takes at least 2 weeks to happen.
Wait. Let me stop in your tracks, because I had already thought about this in my line of questioning. And for the benefit of my listeners who do not understand parliamentary procedures closely, how normal or abnormal is it for a document of this nature, of this level of importance, to be delayed? Because you're now saying that apart from the fact that the Senate has to do its own ratification, which they have set up a committee for, they still have to harmonize it with the House of Representatives, which would also take 2 weeks. Is there a possibility of this actually making it into,
Well, we can continue to talk about this, because we can only be hoping that this is going to happen. Now, like I said, the procedure is as it is. The document, the bill that we are talking about now is about 239 pages. And then you want to go clause by clause to look at this key provision and the key amendment that you want to be introduced. After which, I said the 2 houses will now come together to harmonize before it is sent to the President for assent. Now, whatever is the reason that is making the Assembly delay, the Senate to delay, we don't know. But we hope it is for the good of Nigeria, because as it is, the current draft, based on what we have seen and we have read through the current draft, there are still some provision of the law of the current draft that require a lot of vigilance from the citizens. One of which is, for instance, the restriction of the filing of any dispute from the election. It is restricted to the INEC official, meaning if you have grounds with the election at the end of the election, only the INEC official will file the reports from that election. If I have a problem as the political party or as an observer or as a party agent, I should be able to raise that concern with INEC immediately. Now, there's also another provision, another concern about the astronomical increase in the now cost of participation in the process for political party, which will likely close up the space. For instance, in the new bill, the cost for participating, for voting in the presidential election has been raised from 5 billion, as it were, to 10 billion. For governorship, a billion, yeah. For governorship election, from 1 billion to about 3 billion. You also have for Senate from like 100 million to 500 million. And also you have another part of the provision that also allows now the increase for individual donation in the process from 50 million to 500 million, meaning an individual can support a candidate with up to 500 million. What does that mean? What you are trying to checkmate in the process, you are also trying to introduce in another angle, meaning if I have 500 million to support a candidate, then automatically you are also introducing this godfatherism that we are trying to run away from. Now, what again is the other implication of this? Like I said, if you don't have that resources to participate in the process, it means you have to look for somebody that will have the financial backing to support you. It means you are extending also control of whatever, whether governorship or whatever position, to a third party. But what are we also saying? Perhaps, like I said, this could be the gray area that the Senate is trying to look at, but I am not making excuse for the Senate. Meaning, this was a process that did not start today. This process started immediately after the last election. I remember immediately the 10th Senate came on board. Both houses, some even changed the nomenclature of the committees for the election just so that they can get things upstream. They have been meeting. There have been a lot of retreat between INEC and the Senate, INEC and the National Assembly, INEC and the Joint Committee. They had met several times in Lagos over this. INEC has submitted its proposal. The citizens have submitted their proposal. Civil society has done all of that. A lot of memoranda submitted. Why wait until this moment? My concern is this is also looking like somebody that has prepared so much for the election, and then close to the election, you forget the date of the election. Meaning, if we are preparing for this, a National Assembly should also understand that based on the current law as it were, INEC needs 360 days to plan for the election. If we're talking about that, election was conducted on February 25th, 2023. It means in the next 3 weeks, INEC should be releasing the timetable for the election. The implication for releasing this timetable also is that it's based on this timetable that political parties will start planning, because parties are supposed now to start doing their party campaigns, party primaries rather, by April of this year. Party campaigns are supposed to happen 180 days before the election, meaning towards the middle of the year, parties are supposed to start planning for their campaign. If you talk about other stakeholders like also civil society, they will need to have, that INEC concretize this so that civil society can also plan or start planning its voter education effort.
Yeah.
Now, even INEC is left at a limbo here, because the commission need to understand what law will it use for the next election. If it is going to use the law as it is, then of course it can use its own current manual that they have. Otherwise, if we are going to have a new law, the commission needs to revise all of the manual that it has.
So this one way or the other is going to pose a confusion of sorts, because we have barely 3 weeks. This is the first week in the month of February. Well, gladly, this is a leap year, so we have one extra day than usual. But it's still, like you said, this might pose a lot of confusion for all concerned. Is it safe to say that maybe the National Assembly did not understand how important? I don't know. I don't want to also make excuses. Do they not understand the level of importance of pushing this out as fast as possible, or are they deliberately doing this because they have their own sinister plans for 2027? I know you're not a politician. You may not be able to answer this question, but try.
Well, I am speaking for Nigerians, and as it were, I can say that perhaps they are only planning for their selfish interests. Otherwise, this is not something that they started planning today. Just last week, Wednesday, the Senate met about this, and then they decided they are going to sit on this on Thursday. Thursday came, the Senate had decided to move the sitting and decided to set up a committee to look into this key provision and return back to the Senate on Tuesday, February 3rd. Now, what are these gray areas? Senate should be speaking more to Nigerians. Senate had not come out to address Nigerians to say whatever was the challenge, because whatever happened was done in a closed door. Now, like I said, the clarity that Nigeria requires is because for the commission, they need to know what to continue to plan with. I would say that the commission is not planning, because of course we know if it is sacrosanct that we must have election in 2027, then the commission should start planning, which we think is happening already. One of the feelers that we are getting is that there has been a proposal to adjust the dates of the election, whether to bring it backward or to push it forward. That again will create a lot of confusion in the minds of many Nigerians. Election will happen in February of 2027. I can tell you, perhaps some persons that are maybe planning to come back to Nigeria for Christmas may already be thinking, oh no, next year because of election, I may push it to February. So a lot of people need to have this clarity to plan. Now, who benefits from the delay that is happening? I will tell you, the politicians, because as it is, if you recall last time, if you go to the whole of Section 84 of the Electoral Act, it's around party primaries and all of that. If you remember last time, they shot themselves in the foot that they were not even able to participate in the party primaries. We had to go back to the delegate system because they didn't take the time to truly scrutinize the Electoral Act of 2022 to ensure that representation. That Electoral Act only recognizes the participation of delegates. So I am hoping, these are also the things that we thought had been amended in this bill that should already have passed. But that the Senate is keeping mum about it, it is concerning, very concerning. One of the things that had happened in 2023, if you also recall, a concern has also been INEC's discretionary power that is vested so much in INEC officials.
Paul, can we just take a quick break and go on? We'll be right back. We need to go on an ad break. When we come back, we'll talk more about INEC's position on this issue. Stay with us. It's still Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. Paul James is still with us in the studio.
More
talk, news, and sports after this.
Every meal I cook must taste just right. Rich, delicious, full of love.
We hear you. Your Maggie Star in double cubes. Double the flavor, double the convenience. The same trusted taste you love. Maggie Star double cubes. Made from fermented soya and other selected ingredients for that deep flavor and quality that only Maggie brings to your dishes.
Absolutely delicious.
Get Maggie double cubes today. Me and Maggie, so good together.
Hey there, mums and dads. Did you know that some children are picky eaters and also do not get enough fruits and vegetables from their diet? Well Kid Baby and Infant Syrup is a food supplement from Vitabiotics that contains 14 vitamins and minerals, including vitamin C and zinc, as well as flaxseed oil, which supports brain development and all-round health. Well Kid Baby and Infant Tasty Syrup is for children 3 months to 5 years of age. Give your young ones a good start with Well Kid Baby and Infant from Vitabiotics UK. Available in pharmacies near you.
In life, the more successful you become, the more you realize that there's always a key factor that helps make success happen. Just like a seed becomes a tree with the support of the right soil, and the bridge stands tall because its pillars hold it up. Lasting success happens when the right things work together, like you and the reputable partner with the right expertise.
Get Value Alliance Asset Management Solutions today, and let's grow lasting wealth together. Visit www.valuealliance.com to get started. Value Alliance. We grow with you.
Guy, I think I met the love of my life today.
Oh yeah, drop this gist as it is.
I was about to talk to her when she entered the bus.
Yeah, sad that you didn't talk to her.
Which guy? I followed her into the bus.
Almost had me.
Of course, I was going to sit next to her when one old baba looked at me. So I had to give up my seat.
Which kind of story be this now?
So I decided to write a note.
Finally, victory.
But wind blew it.
Instead of you to go closer.
Trust me now. I did. You know, as soon as someone else stood up beside her, I swiftly sat beside her, checked my breath and all. Anyways, guess who has a date tonight?
Enjoy confidence to go closer with Close Up that gives you lasting fresh breath and full antibacterial protection, because in life, closer is better.
The holy month of Ramadan is here again, a month to submit to the will of Allah, a month to share, a month to care, and most importantly, a month of goodness. Start well and end well with the goodness of peak milk at Sahar and Iftar to stay nourished every day.
Share goodness this Ramadan with the delicious nourishment of peak milk every day. Ramadan Kareem. Peak. Reach for your peak.
Millions, 1 billion Naira jackpot up for grabs every single week. There are lots of other amazing prizes. The first draw is Saturday, 31st January at 8 p.m. on Wazobia TV. So hurry and get them soon. Visit AfriMillions.ng to play now. Create your account and come pick your 6 lucky numbers from 1 to 49. Each ticket costs just 1,000 Naira. AfriMillions, we win together. Players must be 18 plus, licensed by the Lagos State Lottery and Gaming Authority. Terms and conditions apply.
Win from over 80 million in cash and exciting prizes in the Golden Hunt promo.
This promo, there's no need for advert anymore.
Because
my mom alone can hunt down any gist. How much more 80 million Naira in prizes with the whole family involved?
Naija, let the Golden Hunt begin. Just buy any Golden Morn Golden Hunt 30 gram or 45 gram promo pack. Look inside for a unique code and dial *8011 *1# for a chance to win big. Promo ends April 15, 2026. Golden Morn. Make every day golden.
My people
my people. Una don't hear about the bank where everybody they yarn about? Bank 78. You want send money? That one na sharp sharp. You need loan? Kia kia. No stress at all. Customer service inco, then go treat you like king. Queen, including President join. He never finish oh. With Bank 78, your savings good they work for you. You fit invest, grow your business and even open account for your pikin. Make the money start they grow from small. But what thing you go do? E easy pass pure water. Download Bank 78. Sign up. E don't finish oh. My people, no form hard guy oh. Download Bank 78 now. Make your better pass your better.
Bank 78, oh my money elevate.
Every meal I cook must taste just right. Rich, delicious, full of love.
We hear you. Your Maggie Star in double cubes. Double the flavor, double the convenience. The same trusted taste you love. Maggie Star double cubes. Made from fermented soya and other selected ingredients for that deep flavor and quality that only Maggie brings to your dishes.
Absolutely delicious.
Get Maggie double cubes today. Me and Maggie, so good together.
You want to hear all about it? Welcome to the Talk Station. It's more conversation and more conversation.
And then weeks later, there was a U-turn. Well, there was a coup.
Military arrest 65-year-old woman supplying drugs to Boko Haram.
If they know where they are, why don't the army go there and destroy the whole of that place?
Why is it only concerned about politics? Bringing everybody into the APC.
Nothing did not take place. Those people are still in the custody of abductors. Another one has taken place.
As Yusuf dumps opposition for APC. In fact, everybody in Kano has dumped the NMPP.
So Kwankwaso coming out now to say, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that he does know, right?
I don't know what these guys will use to campaign again come 2027.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. This is Hard Facts.
And yes, we are live from our visual studios here in It's Me and Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. This is Hard Facts, and I'm Maryann Okon. I still have with me Paul James. He's an election expert. He's seen more elections than maybe a couple of us. And he knows the ins and outs of the electoral processes, which of course we're about to get into campaign season fully from February. In fact, we are in February. We're already in February. Anyway, before we went on that break, Paul, you were talking about the fact that INEC has some responsibilities, which obviously it looks like INEC might not necessarily have a problem if the Senate doesn't, they do not do their job in making sure that this bill is passed. They will just fall back to the plan of, and rule book of 2023. But how does that affect the average Nigerian? Because the average Nigerian is hoping for a better electoral process, seeing what's happening between political parties and the many defections, and, looking like, power is resting only at the center, which is obviously the APC.
I like the citizen angle of the conversation, to be honest, because when all of these agitations were happening, these public demonstrations were happening by civil society, I saw a comment somewhere when one of the citizens was like, elections have started again, they are beginning to gather. I thought that was very condescending, and that citizens' vigilance is what we require now. Look at what we're talking about, this very, very powerful provisions of the law that, if passed, will make the elections better. One of which, for instance, like I said, is to reduce the human error in the process. The law now will require that INEC will transmit election results. And beyond transmitting the results, the ones transmitted, uploaded or transmitted will be compared against the hard copy that the INEC staff will keep. And if there are discrepancies, the INEC staff will be held liable for that. I think the INEC staff will even be made to pay up, the fine is even up to 1 million naira. That are all the checks and balances that are introduced just to make sure the process gets better. Now, if this process is stalled and is not passed, all of those negative things we have seen in the last election will continue. It is not like this is going to be a silver bullet that can fix all of the problems in the election, but at least it will make it better. For instance, like I had also mentioned, vote by now is pegged at 5 million naira. If anybody is caught involved in vote buying, both the person that is sponsoring the vote buying and the person that is collecting the money, the fine is 5 million naira. So when you increase all of these thresholds, they are done in the manner that can help to at least put some sanity in the process, put some fear in the minds of also the perpetrators. But as it is, like I said, the current law that we have, we'll still go back to the ambiguities that we've seen in the past, where it is not going to be clear whether annex should transmit results or not transmit results. Like I had mentioned also the case of, in fact, there is also a provision now that may or may not see the light of the day. This is the provision that people were calling for early voting. Early voting for observers, early voting for election workers, early voting for INEC staff, including even voting for inmates, for prisoners. So at the moment, it is shelved by the lower house of assembly. We don't know whether the Senate is going to pass that, but this is also one of the, the thing, if you want to expand the scope, if widen the scope of Nigerians that are participating in the process, these are kind of the progressive provision that you want to pursue. So for the commission, to be honest, like I said, it can always fall back to the current plan as it is, because for commission, it doesn't need to go back to revise its manuals and all of that. It already has them from the previous election. But any day that it gets the go-ahead from the Senate, the expectation is that announcement should be made within that week. Recall in 2023, President Buhari signed into law the Electoral on the 22nd of February 2022. And then 3 days later, the commission made an announcement and started planning for the election. What it is that the commission is to make notice of election according to section 28 of the electoral law should be passed 300 days before the election.
Yeah.
So meaning if the election is going to happen in February, you have to count 300 days before the actual date of the election to make that notice of election. And so it is within the parameters of those days that the commission will then begin to start planning. So even in 2022, that we thought the commission was not adequately prepared, the moment it made that declaration, it started making all the kind of preparation that you expect, meeting with stakeholders, party, registration of party agents and all of that. So all of that will take effect the moment the commission make those pronouncements. So I wouldn't want to believe that the commission is not ready. We're just waiting for the Senate to get clarity of the law that the commission should proceed with. If the Senate is not fought with whatever is expected of them, then you expect the commission to go back to status quo and use the law as it were to conduct the election. But Nigerians are saying, hey, wait, there are provisions we saw in this law that we thought will need amendment. Can you give Nigerians this amendment? So this is not just about the Senate, it's about Nigerians and what Nigerians want. And that is why I said citizen vigilance is very critical and very important.
Yeah, but it looks, I know, Paul, sorry to talk over you, but it looks, the probability looks like the Nigerian, the average Nigerian voters' interest is not being served right now because of the kicking down of the kicking of the can down further down the road by the Senate. And it looks like everyone is quiet and just watching with bated breath as opposed to pressuring the government to do the needful, or rather, this time, the Senate.
Well, this is the consciousness that we need to drum to the minds of the citizens. I'm glad you are providing this medium for that they need to also understand they hold the biggest power here and they need to speak to their senators. We need to have the electoral bill passed into law as it is. Tomorrow is the date that the Senate has given us. So whatever it is, however they are able to reach their senators tonight, they should do that and put the pressure on the senators to at least pass something. Let Nigerians debate whether whatever is passed is good for them or not. It is not for the senators to be making the decision at this point. We went through the election. We know what was not good from that election, and we know what can make the elections better. So the Senate should for once listen to Nigerians.
Okay. I want to open up the phone lines. Lagos, join the conversation. Let's talk about this delay in the passage of the Electoral Act bill. Of course, supposed to tweak and somewhat make our electoral process a bit watertight come 2027. But how feasible is that with the day? And of course, don't forget, we've got 300 days before the main election itself. Will the Senate pull a rabbit out of a hat, or is this just a deliberate attempt to stall the process? 0201-277-0993, You can join the conversation on WhatsApp. It's 0809597585. You can use the hashtag HardFacts on X and join the conversation. Straight to the point, 60 seconds. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Hi, Miriam. Good evening to you and your guest.
Yes.
Without trying to sound like a pessimist, it's obvious the Senate is deliberately trying to stall the process. They know what to do. They are only stalling. And so the onus lies on us citizens to continually clamor for that electoral bill to be passed, for something to be done. They reforms everything because it's the right of the citizens to get due diligence from the Senate. If they are not doing it right, then we should always call it out. Thank you for this enlightenment between you and your guest this evening, but we should continually do this till we get the desired result. Good evening.
Thank you very much for calling. Welcome to Hard Facts. Apologies. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts. Sorry about that. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Somewhere they talk from Ogun State.
60 seconds. Go straight to the point, please.
We they talk about delay this, delay that. What about the issue of politicians spreading money on election day? What about that one? Now that one I see me pass. So if can't they do something about it, or in other foreign nations?
I don't know if you. I don't know if you listen, Samuel. I don't know if you listen to the conversation, because my guests also mentioned that there is now in this one that we're asking for them to actually pass. There is a new an upgrade of sorts, saying that if you collect money, you and the person that is giving you money, 5 million each. So if you are going to collect 5,000 to pay 5 million, sure you will run from the 5,000. Well, but then that is obviously dependent on the Senate. Hello.
Maryann, good afternoon once again.
Good evening.
It's been a good evening with you. I didn't listen from the beginning, but the question I want to ask, the electoral reform, does it include INEC continuous voters registration and bringing the voters closer to the people? I remember in 1983 when we wanted to vote, that was my first time that I needed to vote. I remember clearly that the votes were very close to the people. You go to schools, there were registration centers there. You go to some public centers, there were registration centers there. But today, the only place where you can register is the headquarters of a local government, especially outside Lagos. Some of those places, it may take you up to 2,000 or 3,000 naira to go there. Go come can take you 6,000.
All right.
Is it part of the registration process?
All right. Thank you very much for calling, Ambrose. I'm letting you go because of time. I had the same conversation with an INEC rec, I think the one for Akwa Ibom. And this is because it's something I advocate for every single year, for INEC to keep its portal open. Because when someone turns 17 or 18, they're eligible to get a driver's license. Why can't they just go on INEC portal and register at any point? Because every day somebody turns 18. And INEC keeps giving us that excuse of, because we have to do some elections off cycle. Why do we not have the technology to keep that portal open, just like we're able to get on any other portal to register to get our passports or our licenses, whatever?
You want me to comment on this?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I think at some point I was involved in a conversation between INEC and some agencies where the commission was trying to do harmonization. We have our data spread across several agencies. NIMSI has data, INEC has data, Road Safety has data, this person has data. So there was a time they were trying to have a handshake between them. Amongst all of these agencies as it is, INEC has one of the most comprehensive data, over 94 million of registered voters. Now, this is not making an excuse for INEC. Now, they were supposed to continue this continuous voter registration as of then, but I know those cleanup processes were happening. And then after that, like they said, they also had the off-cycle election. It didn't continue from the 2023 because of these obvious reasons. But the plan as it is for the commission to be doing continuous voter registration. It is actually ongoing now. Then close to the election, the commission will then devolve registration to the ward. We have 8,804 registration centers. Now, the complaint that from the commission over time has been about resources, manpower. 8,804 wards mean INEC have to have staff in every of these locations. The manpower for INEC, countrywide, is around 15 million. It is around election that they get to work with NYSC core members. This is just for voter education purpose. So around election, they employ NYSC core members. But to keep core staff is a huge burden for the commission. I agree that they also think about it. What they do for people in the state, they will tell you, governorship election, and then move registration to the ward. They start like 2 weeks at their local government, and then they move to the ward. So it was also supposed to be the same for national, but they said the logistics of managing that is huge, is much. I agree with you, Maryann. We should find a way that Nigerians can, just like we can start registering on our phone before we go to our next offices, can this be upscaled in the manner that we can do as much of even the biometrics and then maybe just do some administrative processes with the commission? It can also help to solve that. I know people around INEC are also thinking through this, but again, we need to think about how to optimize this process, how to upscale it for Nigerians. So again, Nigerians should make the most of the opportunity for the ongoing process now and see how we can all go get registered before INEC will complete the process. But I agree also with the caller. INEC should see how they can devolve this more. There was a problem. He made a point about maybe also bringing this to more closer to the people.
Yeah.
INEC before the 2023 election, INEC also made an effort to expand polling units, to increase voter access to polling units. Our polling unit moved from 119,000 to about 154, 46 or 54 thereabout. So these are all, and I know at the moment, I don't know whether this has been resolved. Even while INEC was going through this process, there was complaint from somewhere in Delta State that they were not truly carried on board when INEC was doing that delineation.
Yes.
Exactly. So these are also the kind of legal challenges behind the scene that INEC also has to deal with. But I know they made attempt in the past because, of course, every day you got new communities coming up, new locations coming up, voter explosion also happening, and all of that.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think if it is possible, maybe every 5 years, and they need to go back and see this new settlement and also see how they can accommodate them and have them on board for the election. It took INEC a lot of time also to try to clean up after the expansion that happened the last time, because when they did, at some point they were not able to capture everybody on the IRF and all of that, but eventually I think they were able to do that. So whatever was the magic they did to get to that level, they should now begin to see how they can expand and create more access to Nigerians. We don't know our official figures, approximately over 230 million Nigerians. Of course, this 230 million, we need to think about how to serve the need of them, of these Nigerians, and reach out to everybody.
The issue of census keeps cropping up every time we're about to go for elections, and then right after the elections, it dies off again. But that's a conversation for another day. Let's take a few more calls before I let you go. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, actually, good evening once more.
Yes.
Our guest, good evening, sir. For me, this food dragging these people are doing is just to delay this thing, then go back to the status quo. Then all those tricks they use, because they know they are not coming back. Most of them are not coming back. This 5 million naira, you say anybody that buy vote or pay vote, that thing will not work now. 5 million will not work. So all I want to beg Nigerians, please, we are still more in number than these people. Look at Omayi's son, don't buy form of 30 million. How many young men can buy form of 30 million for local government chairman? They're just there for themselves. Please, let's come together, shine our eye like our guest is saying. Defend this our vote. Forget INEC and make me to and the INEC, because they will not do the right thing. Is this Senate Akpabio, this kind of people? The ball is in our court too, and we all are in for it. Thank you, Action Lady.
Thank you very much. I can take one more call before I let my guests go. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, good evening, Miriam. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm good. Go ahead.
Jonathan is man.
Yeah.
Now, Miriam, this bill, did you write it? Did I write it? Did your guest write anything there?
There were inputs made by Nigerians through civil society organizations and, of course, put through to the Senate and House of Representatives.
Okay, Miriam, me and you, they asked me and you. They didn't ask me and you. As far as I'm standing here, nobody consulted me for anything. And that's why they are delaying it. Because they wrote it themselves, so they can delay it for as long as they want. I know that if it was the people that wrote this bill that will become an act, they dare not delay it. They don't consult with us, don't care about us. So they should do whatever they want to do, they should do. Enjoy your evening, please.
I don't know if that is what every Nigerian, I mean, if, of course, you're entitled to your opinion, but I don't think that is the case for every Nigerian. Nigerians are hoping for a better and safer electoral process. I don't know if that's the mindset that we need to have going forward. Paul, I have just about 40 seconds before we go. In closing, how do we encourage, because there are a lot of people that have their spirits dampened because of what happened in 2023. What golden words do you have for them?
That's why I said citizen vigilance is very important. If you ask the last caller what was the biggest problem from the last election, I am sure he will make sure technology, electronic transmission, all of that. The Senate may not necessarily have to write this. These were submissions. When Nigerians are making this kind of agitation, some people will put together what is called a memoranda and submit during public hearing. It is during the public hearing that these are debated, and after those debates, it goes to what is called a committee stage. Senate set up a technical committee, or the House of Assembly set up a technical committee to receive all of these reports from Nigeria and sieve them. So from all of this, sometimes what Nigerians do is to take what they feel are the most critical that must be passed. If you leave me as a Nigerian to say what aspect of this bill do I want to see that it get passed into law, I will tell you electronic transmission of the result. 2, to reduce discretion by INEC. A lot of human interference by INEC, that should be reduced. Number 3, the also idea of vote buying. If you checkmate that, it will also stop the excesses of politicians in our process and give more power to the people.
All right. Well, power to the people sounds like the line of a very famous. But of course, we coined these words before them. Paul James is an election expert. He's also a pro-democracy advocate, and we want to thank him for being part of the conversation today. Thank you so much, Paul, for coming on Hard Facts. Always appreciate you for coming to give us some insights on election and the electoral process. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, Lagos, that's where we leave it. I want to say thank you to all of you who've been part of the conversation. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Nigeria Info, even on TikTok. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, MIMIEYO. My name is Maryann Okon. I leave you with this message.
Lagos, who said Valentine is just for lovers? You think that's what it is? Nah, Wema Bank disagrees with you. The Justice 2026 Valentine has
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.